Life is a wonderful gift indeed. Now we have Sally Hewitt from Aging Gratefully in the studio with us. And today we're talking about when life doesn't turn out the way we planned. And I think we've all experienced that. How you doing, my friend?
Oh, it's lovely to be here. Thank you.
It's great to have you in. Now I know that some of the Sunshine family may know you. You were a regular with us a couple of years ago and then had a little bit of a break, have been over in the UK and that. But for someone who is tuning in for the first time, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey so far.
Yeah, so Aging Gratefully was born out of the sudden unforeseen death of my husband. So I was in my 40s, 2 school-age children, and the rest of my family are all in the UK. So we'd been here a long time, but yeah, it came from nowhere. He was misdiagnosed with kidney stones, and it ended up being renal cancer.
Wow.
So when it was discovered, as you can imagine, everything escalated. But 3 weeks later, he was gone, and it started a completely different trajectory for my children and me, obviously. And I don't know what to say about those, but that time, obviously at the very beginning, it is completely and utterly devastating. And I remember there's a couple of really big things that I remember. I remember the doctor saying to me, because I had friends that had been with the children and I in the hospital room, and they took me to the GP in the hospital after Russell first passed, and she said to me as I was leaving, she said, when it gets dark, and it will, look to your children. Yeah. And that is exactly what I did. Wow. Because I remember so clearly that one of the biggest drivers for me after Russell died was that my children never felt they'd lost both their parents. Yeah, that was really that ran really deep for me, because I had experienced something similar to that as a kid myself. Friends that we had used to spend an enormous amount of time at our house. Their father had passed away, and their mother, in her pain, she was an alcoholic. So, and I don't say that with any judgment, because I know what the pain's like. Yeah. I just made a really conscious decision, and that's why I remember it, that wasn't going to be my journey. Yeah. And the other thing was that my relationship with God, I just didn't get it. I just didn't get it. This was not what was planned. This was not what was meant to be our journey, And I said to the pastor at the time, I'm just really angry. I really don't, I don't get it. I don't understand. We had all these things that we were going to be doing, and we're good people, and I don't understand any of it. And I'm so angry. And he said to me, Sally, be angry. God has broad shoulders. Yeah. That, Doug, was just phenomenal. Yeah. Because that just burst this bubble for me that was just like a pressure cooker that was building and building and building, and it really allowed me to feel the feels. Yeah. Which is the most important thing when you have any sort of trauma in your life, to be able to actually feel it. Yeah.
No, I think definitely that sounds like some great advice that you got there about being allowed to be angry with God. Because I think sometimes we're like, why can't I be angry with God? And I think a lot of us probably carry that from time to time. Let's dive into a little bit about that aging gratefully. Some of the things that you've talked about is joy and grieving, finding that together. Can you explain that to us?
Well, one of my most favourite passages, Doug, is 1 Thessalonians 5:16-18, which says, "Rejoice always, pray at all times, be thankful in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you through Christ Jesus." And quite often we read that first bit and then we miss the bit that says, for this is God's will. And that part for me feels like both a command, but also an ability. Like God doesn't give us anything that we're actually not capable of. So it's like He's given us the capability to be joyful and rejoice always, and pray and be grateful. And it looks different. So we have this idea that we have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that we're created like this. And that is my personal experience as well. Because, when I was really deep in grief, there were still sparks of joy in my life. Yeah. And, I still have moments, the kids and I laughed, and gratefulness was a major part of my healing. And it wasn't, don't get me wrong, I will never, ever be grateful for the fact that Russell died so young. But, what I have noticed is when you look for it, and it just comes also, there's a grace in gratefulness and it just gets gifted to you. But if you're not open to it, then, it can pass you by if you're not careful. And at the very, very early days, I just noticed that the kindnesses that were just showered on the kids and I, and that came in both emotional and practical forms. I don't think I cooked a meal for about the first 3 months or something like that, because somebody was always dropping something off, and the living in actually stopping to consciously look at where I live, and all those small moments. Yeah. That's where I'm actually able to find the gratefulness. And I honestly think gratefulness is tied up with prayer, because as you feel that inside, you automatically feel those thanks coming from within. And that in itself sparks joy. Yeah. So it's really coming to terms with the fact that we don't have to choose one or the other emotion, that we actually have the capacity to share both, at the same time, and to not be afraid to lean into it all. Yeah. If there's one thing that, and I won't be the only person, there'll be so many people listening that have experienced, grief, trauma, loss early on. And the biggest thing it points out to you is the fragility of life and the beauty of life, and that it is up to us. We have a responsibility in life as well to kind of grasp the joy and feel the pain, not be afraid of the pain. Because that's another thing. I honestly believe that we can, make our pain so much worse by resisting the suffering. We suffer through the resistance of suffering, if that makes sense. Yep. Yeah, that's something I've learned as well.
Yeah. We sometimes can self-sabotage, the joy or the other things that come along, because we just want to hold on to that hurt.
Yes. Yeah. And I think there's also there's a danger when you lose somebody that you love, that you feel like you almost need to show that you're grieving, or I see this quite a lot. It's really easy to feel guilty for really getting on and enjoying your life. Yeah. But what I also have learned, I feel, is that I know that Russell would want me to get on and enjoy my life. And if I don't, then it really just kind of, it speaks into the bleak fact that he didn't actually get to do it. Yeah. And that just almost feels, irreverent to him as well. Yeah. Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like there's quite a bit of a journey there that you've had to unpack across the years. I know we need to quickly land this, but if there was one thought that you could leave someone with today, what would it be? To not be afraid to feel into their emotions, and to accept the fact that we live in non-duality, that we can experience joy and grief. Yeah. That prayer is in the silence and unanswered questions. We have so many of them. and that, you know, that gratefulness, the grace there in gratefulness is available to us all, and that is just an amazing way to live.
That sounds like a fantastic place to land this, Sally. Thank you so much.
Thank you.